Welcome, dear viewers, to a new episode of Dialogue Horizon. In this episode, we'll try cover important events as of the last 2 weeks of December. One of which is the delisting of Sudan from the American list of states sponsoring terrorism, plus the recent resolution among the passing of the Congress of the budget, which included absolving Sudan of or giving Sudan immunity against any claims in any other claims for terrorism related to terrorism. In this episode we'll try to cover this and the effect. First, the history, the effect, and what is expected of the important positive resolutions to Sudan, especially to Sudan economy. That's why we are glad to host in this episode two of our friends who can cover these two areas. It's called the political and economical area. So that's why we are having our here with us Dr. Sammani Hanoun. As you know, he's a lecturer at the University of Ahfad and part-time lecturer in other activities, and he's activist in the society of the different social, political, and economical aspects. Also, we have our expert. He's entirely an economist. Dr. Yasser Al-Abeid is known to us, and he's one of the Sudanese who toured, or he went in different parts of Africa in different organizations related to the economy of the African countries which he visited. That's why the combination of the two will give the viewer an insight to our questions, to enlighten the viewers of the effects. Some of the viewers, maybe they are not fully aware of the results or the outcome or the expected effect on the Sudan, on the economy of Sudan. So we start asking the first important question to Dr. Sammani Hanoun. Sammani Hanoun, as you know, Sudan was subjected to very harsh sanction on the 1993 when its name was put in the American list of states sponsoring terrorism, which this act of state or list, it involves, embedded in it, it involves economic sanctions. So Sudan was suffering for 27 years of this. Can you tell us the size of the damage which inflicted to Sudan by the imposition of this name in state sponsoring terrorism for 27 years? What is the effect?
First of all, thanks to Sudan TV and especially Dialogue Horizon. And I take this special moment to extend a special and sincere greeting and congratulations to all Christians on occasion of Christmas Day. Hopefully this is a year will be the year of peace, a year of prosperity of all Sudanese people everywhere. Back to your question, Engineer Abu Haras, I think that the economic sanctions, which dated back to 1930, as a result of hosting some what was
1993.
93, yeah,
Okay.
what the U.S. administration described it as terrorist group like Jihad al-Islami, Hamas, and Al-Qaeda, and like are few examples of the Islamic groups were hosted in Sudan during that time. So the sanctions was a physical product to the activities of Sudanese government at that time and continued every year to be renewed by the American administrations in order at least to keep Sudan under control and watch of the U.S. administrations, and that result in some very fabulous economic impact, destroyed many sectors in the economy, the transport sector, agricultural sector, the industry, the All sectors in Sudan were affected by these very aggressive decisions of sanctions on Sudan. And the total cost of economic, especially the economic cost, estimated to more than roughly about 100 billions of dollars. This is a total estimated damage on Sudanese economy as a result of this very biased sanctions on Sudan, and led to the destructions or a wide range of activities in Sudan, and negatively affected the rate of growth of GDP in Sudan, and resulted in damaging some agricultural projects in Sudan, transport, railway, airlines, different sectors were negatively affected in Sudan. So the sanctions resulted in a negative impact, and they slowed down the rate of growth of the Sudan economy during the last 3 decades. Now I think delisting is a step forward to recover the lost positions of the national economy, and also give more chance to Sudan to pursue expansion and growth in the economy, and especially recover the destroyed sectors in the
Okay,
economy.
okay, that's very good. But okay, we can, without Dr. Yasser, I bet to elaborate on this because, as Dr. Sammani said, the effect, the size of the damage was huge, big damage in 27 years. He figured out maybe billions of dollars lost, but what is specifically the damage, the effect of the damage on the economy of the country? What is the, apart from the size of the how many billions, but can you tell us about the damage in 27 years, which I think it is protracted till now? Till now,
Yeah.
we are still suffering from this decision.
That's true. Thank you very much, Mr. Engineer Haraz. Also, I want to pass my congratulations to all the Christians in Sudan because of the Christmas day. Back to the question, in fact, what Professor Samani mentioned, that since the destruction is being imposed as Sudan as one of the terrorist country, still sponsor of terrorism at 1993, I think so. The economic has got so much problems, and it's been affected so much in all the corners of the economy, because Sudan is being banned from the financial institutions, banned from the loans and from assistance from a lot of things around the world that time, because of the started the globalization, and at that time the world was opened for all the countries. And since that time, and until 1997, the financial sanction also has been imposed at that time. I think so. The whole sector has been collapsed after within 1993 up to 1999, after the Sudan is just explored the oil, 1999. Still that time Sudan it was in on so much problems in the economy, especially the health sector, especially even the education sector, and all the sectors. In fact, the agriculture sector is one of the being affected in Sudan. It's been left by technology from a very long time. This is why up to now it's been getting so much problem in agriculture, in
Now,
irrigation.
what about the, maybe for what one important thing, the banking? We will deprive Sudan,
Yeah.
deprivation of Sudan from the global banking system added to the gravity of the problem, because we, in the private sector, we used to have to pay more money to go around
Yes.
by a third party.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate,
Yeah,
give the viewer this effect on the banking?
Yes, banking system and financial system in Sudan is being collapsed completely. Since that time, and as you mentioned, that if you want to open an LC or you want to do any transaction through the world, in fact, you pay so much commissions
Yes.
to reach to the. This is why Sudan didn't compete with its products, and everything is became now. This is why, in fact, is came back to the, when you come back to the inflation, it's at the inflation because of the pricing
The
system.
price
The
increase.
pricing is being so high, and it's not the prices so much, and all the operations and transaction from country to country. Sometimes goes through different
Different countries.
countries
Time
and
also.
many mediators and so much commissions. This is why, in fact, the financial system and banking system, even if you transfer money from country to country, that means you have to hide a lot of things. And even so, in part of the transaction with international bank like HSBC, like BNB Paribas, like Barclays Bank, like Standard Chartered, American, they put so much sanction about to this and they claim from them a lot of money, almost about $6 billion
Because
because they
because of
transact with
dealing with
with
Sudan.
Sudan, and Sudan in that list of SST, and Sudan instead is sponsor of terrorism, and they have deal with Sudan, and this is international banks and big banks, by the way, and even internal banks also is being paid. It's been paid to American
Penalized.
administration a lot, penalize a lot of money to that one. You know, financial system in Sudan it needs a lot of efforts to come back to because now our financial system and our banking system is working with the visions and strategy of a long time, since 1993 up to now. It's still behind the international system, international banking system. The banking system in Sudan is really affect the rest of the sectors in Sudan, because of a lot of technology is being behind, has been left by a lot of technologies, especially in agriculture and
Especially
irrigation.
the private sector.
The private sector, by the way, also is a part of that, because private sector is getting so much problem in its transactions in different in opening an LC, cannot open LC directly. He has
Yes.
to pay a lot of money in that. He has to pay a lot of
And wait days, more days, prolonged days, time and
yes,
money.
timing, and another time also you have, if you ship something from anywhere in the world, so you have to go through different transshipment. You go to from country to
Yes,
country, and
yes.
damage of the goods and whatever, and you have to pay a lot of commission to pay a lot of damage and whatever in different ports, and that one in fact is affect the economic so much, and it's still the economic is under that fiction, and it needs a lot of restoring. In fact, it needs a lot of and we need a lot of efforts to keep it or to maintain it.
To maintain and to take full advantage of the new sanctions. This will come later to this question,
Okay.
because we have to qualify ourselves before.
That is very important part.
Before this, I will
It
come
is
to
very
it.
important
Before
part.
the
Yes,
first, the
that-
global, the international community will not come easily unless they make sure that the country is in good shape.
It's true.
So it will come later. We will
That
come
is
later.
internal.
To this.
That's the
It's
homework. A
very
lot of
important.
homework.
Okay, Dr. Samani, we come also back to the sanction, to the decision. One of the important conducive sanctions or decisions taken by the Congress, the American Congress, last week actually, which actually by passing the budget, in this budget, among which is the immunity of Sudan against being, which is another hurdle now removed from Sudan, which was crippling also the movement of Sudan. This immunity, the restoration of the immunity of Sudan, so that they cannot be sued by the families of the victims of any terrorist attacks, including the Twin Tower of New York in the 1st of September 2001. So also, can you tell us, because these are coupled together actually,
Yeah.
victims from terrorism and this one.
Yeah. Before answering these questions about the protections of sovereignty in Sudan, just let me to highlight the positions of banking under delisting of Sudan from the terrorist or list by US. Definitely, the Sudanese banking suffer from very long deteriorations in capital, in environment, in by Islamizations of the banking system that resulted in damaging consequences on all banking sectors in Sudan. And as you know, that financial system is important for allocating resources among the people. And one of the core problems now facing Sudan, redistributions of wealth. So banking system play very important and strategic role in redistributing wealth. And this is the second agenda of the negotiations or peace settlement. So the banking system is important for peace, for sustainability of peace, at least to make very sounding a financial system that allocate resources evenly across all regions in Sudan and result in even development among different parts of country. Back to the questions
Question,
of the
immunity.
immunity, yeah, definitely that the sovereignty of the Sudanese or the Sudan against any future persecutions or any future actions by the families of December 11 especially, that is represent, I think, a very important to protect the government from any future inquiry or investigation by any judicial body in the US. And that also will give protection to Sudan in order to get all and at least to have a full control about the borders of Sudan and not to be hijacked and what happened during 1998 when they target the Shifa factory. So that special law will protect the sovereignty, the national sovereignty of the country, and also give the power to the Sudanese people to bargain on the international and regional discourse. So that is, I think, will support the political positions of the country and give greater position to Sudan in the international and regional discourse as well.
That's very good.
Yes.
Dr. Yasir, can you tell us or tell the viewers why is America or the American administration is so keen and enthusiastic to pursue cases of Sudan and to delist it from the states sponsoring terrorism and the Congress passing these important resolutions? What is behind that? America is looking to Sudan as something positive. They have to keep Sudan intact. What do you think? Because we work in different parts of Africa and different international organizations. Why did America change the whole discourse?
So. This is very important. I think it's a question. America is a country of and a state of institutions. Since he imposed these embargoes and instruction to Sudan, there is a lot of reasons that it put Sudan in that list. Seeing that political Islam and so many reasons, Sudan is interfering in different countries, in neighboring countries and whatever. And that's what's changing the geography and the history in America, because in USA, because in USA policy, international policies or internal policies, external policies, there is two things, that the interest and the treasons. Those two points.
The interest and what?
And the interest and the treason. And treating for USA or American citizen or American benefits around the world, America cannot leave that one completely. Changing the geography and changing the history also, that is part of the very sensitive areas in American administration. For external,
regardless of the incumbent
external region.
Regardless of the incumbent party or the president, whether it is Republican or
whatever,
Democratic,
whatever.
but they
that
have
is
the
policy for
okay.
the state.
Okay,
that's the policy for the state, for the international policies for the state. The benefits and the treatment that cannot be. So Sudan, is moving around its areas, not like the other countries in Africa or in its region. Those, they are just something solid staying in their country, but Sudan is trying to interfere here and there. This is why this is part of that is a part. This is why American is imposed that instructions, and when it comes to lifting that, also it comes to Sudan as a location-wise. Sudan is a key in the area. Sudan is a key in its area in Central Africa and African Horns. This is very important area in the world. It's one of the important area in the world because.
By the way, I basically to remind you that the American embassy in Sudan, the new embassy in Soba, is actually, I think, maybe the biggest in this area, the Middle East, or maybe in one of the
I
biggest.
think so. Nairobi,
this reflects
Nairobi also is one of the biggest, but in Sudan is the biggest now because they built new one.
The new one is built. Maybe I am
according to the observers, is one of the biggest.
If it is not, Sudan is not important to them, they would not have.
Sudan is very important.
We will pass the same question
after he finishes. It's very important in American mind. It's very important because of Sudan. the stability of Sudan, that means stability for the all regions.
Okay.
26% of the oil passing that side of the Red Sea and Al-Mandab Gates and that side of African horns. This is very sensitive area. And Iran is, in fact, by the way, Iran is moving so much in that area, in that
They have
the
some
east of,
activities, yes.
yes, they have so much activities. This is why so many military front there in that areas, especially in most of the ports there, in Djibouti, in Mamsawa, in Asab, in whatever, in Somalia, that is they're moving so much there because to protect their oil and that other important and sensitive things there. This is why America, it needs Sudan at this time stable, without any problem. It needs Sudan to play a role in the area, as we know that the conflict is being now coming back to the region in Tigray regions
East.
and Ethiopia, and America is fear even this one might change to another, maybe Kenya now is more stable. It might also come. This is
Can spill over
this
to
is a very
different countries.
sensitive area,
Yes, yes,
and there is pirates there, by the way, and there is a lot of problems in that area of African horn.
This is a sensitive
This is
area
why
now.
they need Sudan to play a big role in the near solution.
That's a good answer.
In the
Okay.
same line, I just want to mention the strategic importance of Sudan for American administration. I think that Sudan is a gateway to Africa, and Sudan, the seaports of Sudan link the Asia with Africa and located in the center of the world that can serve the cost of international trade, the security worldwide, and most important, to stop the development of the socialist countries like China and Russia. Sudan is starting to build this new relations. So the Americans worry about,
Especially Ethiopia, by the way.
yeah, and Ethiopia also. But America should work hard in order to have a real existence in Sudan as one of the leading countries in Africa, with very strong ties in Africa, and also with a huge resource. Sudan is a very a powerful strategic partner for the U.S. because of the natural resources and the human resources as well. So I think as a result of the competition, and this is why we are always reminding our government should keep away from the pro-socialism, because the U.S. is strategically combating this school of thought and working around the world in order to stop the development of socialist worldwide. So I think one of the main reasons behind the special attention to Sudan in order to compete with the pro-socialist communities in the world, and also to get advantage of the huge resources available in Sudan, definitely human resources and natural resources as well.
That's it.
Yes, let me add just
Yes, for sure.
regarding that type of that side of the political, but the side of the economy, in fact, America has been left by oil also in Sudan. It is the one who's discovered the oil by Chevron.
Very
America
strong.
wants to come back to Sudan on that field. It's very important because the oil of Sudan is one of the best oil and has so much things, like no impurities, whatever. America wants to come back to this field of oil, by the way.
Okay. Okay, that's because the other question is very important. This is very important to you as economist, which is, I'm sure, as economist, you are worried or alarmed by the debts, external debts, about $60 billion. How can Sudan make full advantage of delisting of its name from the country sponsoring terrorism and the United Nations program of heavily indebted poor countries, known by the HIPOC, HIPOC, this heavily indebted. How can we make use of this? Because the HIPOC, this program can write off completely, can reduce, can reschedule. Tell us about this. How can we benefit, take full advantage of this conducive atmosphere created by the Americans, by the delisting and by Congress sanction resolution?
I think this also is an important question because Sudan also has to to join the HEPIC, also the heavily indebted poor countries initiatives. That one it is important because America now is paid Sudan $1 billion US, and going to pay 1.1 another one also for International Bank and IMF. And that one is going to take Sudan for being is been going to build is the only country in the world is the only country now, only I think so Comoro Island, and Comoro Island was already gone from that side of the list of the debit, and Sudan now I think so. But the problem now, because arrears debit of Sudan is in IMF and International Bank is about 3.3. That is should be paid now. I don't know how now after American paid that 1.1, that puts Sudan in position to be out of the debt in Paris Club, all the countries.
And at the same time, it has stepped to the HIPOC program.
Yes, the HEPIC program.
Okay.
HEPIC initiatives. So it has to start from that side, because the International Bank and the IMF are the one who is responsible about the debt of the whole countries and behind of these all countries in Paris Club, with the one who's collecting the money in behind of Paris Club debtors. That one is putting Sudan in a very good position. Let us start putting a lot of efforts at this time of 64 billions. At least let us start with the real debt is about 16 billions, and we leave that one maybe after we start a little bit paid by International Bank. At least put Sudan in a good position for be lift from the to be lift from the
to benefit from this
to
program.
benefit from the initiative, to benefit from this program and initiatives. That one,
Are there any countries?
it is about 2.2.
I think Ethiopia, I heard that long time, Ethiopia or some African countries benefit from this heavily indebted poor countries program.
Most of the first country is Uganda,
Uganda.
and the last one is Somalia. Before Somalia it was Comoro Island. I think so now is only remaining Sudan.
Only Sudan.
Only remaining Sudan.
Only
Sudan now after lifting the
But
sanction.
it needs effort.
Yes, going to be going to be now in a good position to benefit from these initiatives. Maybe very soon going to be this one.
This is very important
But
because
it needs a lot of negotiators to be at least
effort and coherence inside.
coherence, very important.
We have a problem
the coherence from
inside.
all sectors.
Yes, without qualifying ourselves being
Coherence,
solid inside, nobody will come to help us.
It's true.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, another thing, Dr. Samani Hanoun. Some people are afraid or alarmed or skeptical to fully rejoice the delisting of Sudan from the sponsoring terrorism because of an old act before listing Sudan in this in 1993. There was an act which was called JASTA, Justice Against Sponsoring Terrorism Act. This is in America. So this is still in place. This act is the American act. So some people they say, so some of the victims of the twin bombing in New York will come and claim and present suit case against Sudan because Sudan. But to remind you, the 1st of September 2001 was, they claimed, Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, they claimed the responsibility of this. Osama bin Laden left Sudan in 1994. And the bombing of the two towers in 2001, so almost 7 years. So there is a justification that Sudan definitely was not involved in this. So I always say that people who are alarmed or who are not trying to underestimate the delisting of Sudan because of this JASTA, can you tell us about JASTA? Is there still a threat to Sudan?
I don't think so. These are the extreme pessimistic or opponents to the development. I think they just want to give counter argument to the positive development with the bilateral relation between US and they used always to repeat this very pessimistic way of thinking. And I don't agree with them. Sudan in very strong position, and Sudan is innocent of September 11 hijacking of world terror sectors in the US. Sudan, by document and evidence, can prove that Sudan is not guilty in these positions, and he has very strong argument. So the US administration, I think, and the JASCA especially, is not applicable to the case of Sudan.
Sudan, I think
Yeah,
so.
for sure. But this some opponents, they
They
try
want
to undermine, yeah, the positive relation and the progress in this.
But the lawyers of the victims,
Yeah.
they're the one who's on behind of that in the Congress. They trying just to make pressurize to the American administration to go on that side because of the claim of the victims. In fact, we cannot ignore that one completely. We have to be very careful on that. We have to be very careful. The American administration with Russia is trying just wherever they fulfill something, they impose something else. Let's be very careful on that, because when you put JASTA, that is justice against sponsor of terrorism, and you go to that law of terrorism. In fact, it seems like something similar, but that one for foreigners and this for citizens of Americans. But it seems like that one is state sponsor of terrorism, and this one is justice
Against
against
terrorism.
sponsor of terrorism. This is sponsor itself. If you put it just like that and make analysis on that and of that and make dismantle for that words, what is the sponsors? For me, something very vague. What is the sponsor of terrorism? Are you become red-handed on that, or sponsor just something like? And how can you sponsor the terrorism, the terror itself?
By hosting, by
That is
buying,
something
anyhow.
our institution, they have to be very careful on that. They cannot just anything. When you go to the court. In fact, by what Mr. Profis mentioned, that when you go to the court in American court against that case of September 11, we have to be very careful on that. We have to be very careful, even in the words itself. And I don't know. That is something for law. Is a law section. It's not my side, but
Yeah.
but it's very important to be.
Yeah, but Dr. Yasser Abed, I agree with Dr. Samani, because first of all, who claimed responsibility is the Qaeda, Osama bin Laden. There is a gap.
Even
seven
call
years.
itself is Al Qaeda.
Okay.
And and Dar es Salaam and Nairobi is Al Qaeda also. In the
No,
same.
Dar es Salaam, Nairobi, they have evidence.
No?
That's why they hit the Chifa. That's something different, because they have evidence,
Yes.
which led Clinton to, on the 1998, to bombard and to hit Shifa, because Shifa was supplier of the explosive. But this is different. I think this is different. People politically, they want to undermine, to underestimate, but to under-evaluate this effect of the listing.
We need not to sleep on that also.
But
However, to sleep on that.
Okay.
We have to be careful
But
with
however,
this.
it will not-
We have to be careful with this.
But however, if it comes, it's not definitely will not come from the American administration. It will come from individuals. When it comes from
The
individuals,
law is like that. Just
Yeah.
the law is like that. Just the law is not from the administration.
To the individuals.
Just the law for
Okay,
individuals.
individuals will not affect-
Individuals,
No,
American
I
individuals.
think that the Americans themselves, they make a statement. Trent is my friend. Now, Trent between Sudan and America to build a very a fruitful bilateral relations and a very abolished future awaiting both of country. That means we have to go to the first block of accusing Sudan as a terrorist country. And this file already closed after very long marathon of debate and discussion. Now Sudan and the US administration start new era. I don't think there is any benefit for all parties to go back again to this block. Whatsoever the cost, the US administration should settle this issue internally in order not to sacrifice the very strong and very promising future with Sudan. They can get a lot of opportunities in Airbus, the General Electric, their 10 agricultural country. So they cannot sacrifice all these interests in order to claim for this. The US administration, I think, will take the direction to settle the claim of the families and victims of December 11 hijacking, which is clearly announced by Al-Qaeda. They committed this is in the US. So there is no need to go take a ring road again and to accuse Sudan as a player in this tragedy in the US. Sudan is innocent from this events and accident in the US, and I think the bilateral relations and the strategic future awaiting both nations need to go ahead, not to go back again to the first block. By all means, I think the US administration will be very keen about the future, about building a new fruitful bilateral relations with Sudan to get a more advantage and gains from the huge natural resources in the country, idle capacity in the economy. They can invest, they can compensate the losses of hijacking by any investment in this is, I think, the way they can calculate the benefits and losses of the September 11 hijackings. Sudan, by all means, I think Sudan is innocent from this.
Has nothing to do with it,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Okay, Dr. Yasser Abed, now something also related to the economy of the country. Definitely this decision, this development, the American relation with Sudan, is also related, by the way, in a way it's related to the normalization process, which already is going on till now. It will not stop, and it will end up in a normalization. Americans, if they are not sure of this fact, they will not give this handouts, these positive handouts to Sudan. So this Sudan, apart from this normalization, is what maybe one of the campaigns of Trump in the election, and now he lost the election. But America also definitely has interest in Sudan, as you mentioned before, whether it is oil or agriculture. And all people are saying that the globe is going to run into shortage, very shortage in the agriculture, in the food. Many countries will starve, definitely, because the population is growing at rates more than the rate of the growing of food. So what can we benefit from? What are the objectives of the Americans? They are putting their eyes and they are putting Sudan in the focus, not only for normalization relation with Israel, but for other things, which definitely the strategic location in the hub, in a very important area, as you said. And also we have the treasurer, minister, the 6th of January, the American state treasurer, will come to visit Sudan. Before that, some countries, some representatives, they met the Minister of Fire. Can you tell us about this activity which is going on in the last days of Trump, and will it continue when Biden takes office?
Okay, let me go to the recognition of Israel is very important. One of the important elements as normalization is a part of the discussion. Is fact, by the way, in the lifting Sudan from the sanctions and lifting Sudan from state sponsoring of terrorism. America is in need of Sudan at this time because America has been absent from Africa for a long time and left socialism, and China is being now moving so much and taking so much resources from Africa. And Sudan is a key in Africa. As we know, Sudan connected South and North African countries and with Middle East. Sudan is in fact in location, is very sensitive location, very important location for American, especially even Red Sea and Port Sudan is very important element in the negotiation because of if the oils and whatever and passing that through that side and what. So America is in need of Sudan because Sudan, country of resources. Most of the countries in Africa, which is having resources like Sudan, like Congo has so much now conflict. It's not stable. It's not peace. There is so much problems. Sudan, not like in a part of East African countries like Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi. Sudan is not like that. Sudan has so much and vacant up to now. It's not been used. Most of the resources. America in need of oil and gas, in need of most of the energy minerals in Sudan, like whatever uranium, like titaniums, like most of the minerals for that. And in fact, America is in need of the railway net in Africa. Also, he wants to contribute on that. In power also itself, so America, like General Motors, like whatever, also they want to come to Sudan to invest in Sudan. And Sudan at this time, I think so, after the peace and after the Juba agreement, Sudan became stable now, and we are expecting that. And if them just, let's say, they're expecting that to do the, to at least to sponsor that transitional transformation democracy in Sudan, and to maintain that one. It is very important to America because of the resources, because of the investment, because of foreign direct investment from international companies from America, and they are in need of coming to Sudan and to invest, to do a lot of huge of, and this is why the problem in Ethiopia, because of that. China expands so much to Ethiopia, in Ethiopia. And that one is, in fact, for Americans, is really and making so much problems. This is why they don't want to repeat what happened again in Sudan before in oil and happened in Ethiopia to come back again to repeat it in Sudan. This is why they want to maintain the democracy, they want to maintain the peace, and they want to come and invest in Africa, especially in Sudan.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. Dr. Sammani, also, I think you want to add more to it, but before that, you can couple it together with because in his campaign, Joe Biden, the American president-elect, Joe Biden, in his rallies, he attacked Trump as saying that he blackmailed a poor country like Sudan, made it pay very dear money, about $333. So does this mean that Biden, when he takes over after 20 days or after 27 days of the 20th of January, will he continue on the same
direction of
path, which is positive with Sudan? Will he continue? Does this signal that he will continue, or you expect him to be different?
Go back again to normalizations with Israeli and also with the U.S. I think one of the main factors behind active movements between Sudan and these two parties, that American administration and Israel are working on security side also. They want to place the African calm, especially here in Sudan. And you know, the delegation came from the Israeli first time they visited the defense. So I think there are some declared objective and hidden objective for this special relation. We have to be keen of that, because simply they want to develop the security strategy in Africa. And needless to repeat that Sudan is rich with human resources, and especially as in the history of Sudan, you know, when we go back to Muhammad Ali Pasha, when he was invaded Sudan for men and gold as well. So again, they want to repeat, because in Sudan they have very strong and brave men. They can find well in the world, and they can do business also here in this special strategic part for the AFRICOM. I think this is one of the objectives behind the active relations between Israel and Sudan. And although some other objectives are accompanying, this is a main objective, the development of agriculture, the technology, transfer of technology to Sudan. And you know, to some extent, Sudan suffer from infrastructure in technology. Sudan in bad need for advanced technology in order to support the network and also to provide infrastructure. So the U.S. administration and Israel well developed in this sector. They can also contribute to Sudan. Go back to the whether Joe Biden will take the same road of Trump or not. I think he will take different way, because Joe Biden historically, these Democrats, the one who take the serious actions against Sudan, and they are more pragmatic than Trump. Trump, by all means, benefits Sudan during the last future. I'm not so optimistic about the Democrats. So we expect that Joe Biden use the expression that the Trump only use some sort of exploitations and the blackmail of the Sudan by taking that money only for the propaganda for elections. In practice, they are more pragmatic. I think they will support democracy. This is one most
For sure, they will
yeah,
support
for sure.
democracy.
They will support democracy, but also they are more pragmatic than the Republicans. So in the other side, expect also more other decisions that may not serve the interest of the Sudanese people. And this is what we learn from the history of the Democrat when they were in power during Barack Obama, during Bill Clinton. Most of them, they will take the most serious decision against Sudan. So this is an institution, as we mentioned in several analyses, that is the...
Why they are against Sudan? You mean against Sudan, or at that time the regime of Sudan, the incumbent?
yes, against Al-Inqas especially.
Yes, against
Yeah,
Al-Inqas.
but I think still now we want to see what will happen in the future. Actually, we are not 100. We just flash back the history, and based on the history, we forecast what will they do in the future. The Democrats especially take the more aggressive decision against Sudan in the history. During Clinton, they hijack Al-Shifa. During Obama,
But it's against the regime, Dr. Samai.
Against
30 years,
Al-Inqas.
30 years, how many, about four presidents?
Yeah.
So all it was in the, but before that,
yes,
I agree with you. I
Al-Inqas.
agree with you. The Democrats are always almost more inclined to Israel more than the Republicans.
yes.
It's known. It's
But
known
Republican
that.
more aggressive even. Republican is more aggressive even. Like
So
Bush,
aggressive. The Americans, they go to war and they give.
Yeah.
But why? Dr. Saman, he mentioned a very important thing. Do you agree with him that Joe Biden will take different course? Not like
According
Trump.
to me, I
Trump,
don't-
by the way, Trump is emotional, and you cannot take him as a rational.
Trump is exceptional case, I think. So it's not that
Trump exceptional.
It's exceptional case, and the way he's operating the state, in fact, is completely different, and operating as a merchant and whatever, and a businessman.
But
As a businessman.
Dr. he read a very important thing. Do you agree with him?
I agree with him. I do agree with
Biden
him.
will at least will be different.
Yes, because in fact now, because Sudan is not Sudan before. Sudan is not that 30 years
Yes,
Sudan.
yes,
Sudan now is completely different now. He's going, because now there is a company between the two countries, between Sudan and America. Now I think so that one type of tourism and whatever is an action, and now this is a time of investment. Exploiting of the whatever is investment. How can we transfer the FDI to Sudan? How can he, in fact, open a lot of investment in Sudan? How can he benefit from Sudan? The way before it was just time of 30 years or 27 years is time of the only oversnaction and whatever and problem between two countries. But now I think so it will completely be going to be different, not because of Biden, but because of situation itself.
So, Somali mentioned something very good also. Always the Democrats, historically, are not to support democracies. They are for democracy. They will be more inclined. Now we have a conflict, internal conflict between full democracy and the militarization. Till now, this issue not yet resolved.
That's another problem, because
Not resolved.
but that is another problem also. We have to be coherent at this time also, and since we have to look to Sudan, to look for the benefit of Sudan, to look for the future of Sudan, not to go for whatever the military and whatever the civilian. That is another issue also between us here internally.
So that's why we have to prepare ourselves to
We
qualify.
have to prepare.
That's why
If we are not going to prepare ourselves, we're going to be because Sudan is a very sensitive area, because we are neighbor to much of more than 9 countries, which has so much problem and conflict. Like now, Tigray problem now is going to be continuing for maybe for another years now. We don't know. And maybe in Southern Sudan is still up to now. There is no stability 100%. And like Chad, like Libya now. So you know we are in conflict areas. So we have to be careful at this time also, because any problem from there, if it's going to at least to affect Sudan internally instability.
Yes, but Dr. Ismail, yes, I will go to you back. But I want to remind you something. I have to ask you to elaborate on it, which is very important. About now, you mentioned something very important, that the Democrats are always for supporting democracies. Okay. Now we have to face it. We have to be transparent. We have a conflict. We have a problem that there is no coherence between the partners of the revolution.
Yeah.
So you are saying that the new administration, American administration, will definitely support
Yeah.
the democracy, the full transformation of democracy. So what are we supposed to do in Sudan politically?
Yeah.
I mean, we have to resolve this issue. We
Yeah.
have to admit that there is a gap between the partners, the two partners of the revolution,
Yeah.
civilian and the military. There is a gap, and the gap, it seems that is widening.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Thank
can
you.
we do that we benefit from the
Definitely.
new?
And I think this is a very central questions and strategic questions. Do we benefit from the opportunities created by international community as a Sudanese? Do we benefit from this opportunity, whether created by the European Union or by the US administration? I think we cannot say yes, because there are some problems inside this
Inside.
country. Yeah.
Internal.
Unless we make a very genius and very practical reform inside the country, we cannot benefit from these opportunities. So especially go to this political sides. As we know, the Democrats supporting the democracy in the world. So all the components of the December Revolution, whether military or civil, they should work in harmony to achieve this goal. This is a global trend. If you want to spend more time to face a very tight economic condition and underdevelopment like before, so you have to go against the trend. This is an international trend that Sudan should take the route of the democratic country and state. So all the components of the December Revolution should be in line with this trend, and they have to work together, whether military or civil.
Civilian.
Because civil state need also strong military forces that to protect the civil state.
Definitely, yes.
So I think there is no contrast. We have only to sit together and to make roadmap for all these parties. But what is very important, unless we make internal reform to the political life, to the parties, political parties, to the peace partners, to the transitional period partners, and we make institutional reform inside Sudan, we will never benefit from any opportunity outside. Yeah, this is a very central, yes.
Very important, very important,
Yes.
because
And
I want
because
to
of the
ask
transitional
Yes.
justice, if we put it just like that, it's very important also. That's the triangle of the peace and the reconciliations and the benefit of the economic. You know, if we are not going to do homework in that, we'll never benefit from this opportunity. We have to look to do a lot of homework internally, because of the, you know, as you know, the political parties, you know, the political arena is not that coherent. So they have so much problems, and they don't know now the world is completely being changed now at this time. Transitional justice is very important. How can we impose that one properly, like another countries? If you put it just like approaches and comparison between another countries like Rwanda, like South Africa, how they benefit from that transitional justice, and how they benefit from the conflict, how they invest the conflict to even to stability, economic stability and political and security and the rest of the stability, how they benefit. Like South Africa and Rwanda, one of the two examples in Africa. Another countries like maybe like Liberia, like whatever, like Sierra Leone, they didn't follow the proper way of after the conflict. This is why still they in conflict. They in problem. They still in conflict. So like Congo also still in that, you know.
So they did not follow the path.
Yes, yes. That the regulation of the.
So we might face the same.
We might, you know, like Ethiopia now also, it came back to square one now. And Kenya, example now, is stable country. You're expecting, even if they are not going to maintain what they are, the democracy, also maybe anytime they come back to the
just
conflict.
let me to add one comment, if you don't mind,
one
Engineer.
minute.
Yes, okay. I think in the reform, we need to build only one army in the country, only one Sudanese armed forces, that we have to create and integrate all the movement in one armed forces.
Okay.
And number two, we have to reform the political parties in Sudan in order to enhance democracy within these parties. This is one of the serious weaknesses of our political system. So I think unless we take this action, and I expect from the Prime Minister, they should address this issue and make the roadmap for the development of the civil state as protected by the international law and by the US administration. They release very clear a law that protect the civil transformation in Sudan. So we expect from the government also should make roadmap and should make a strategy for the development of the civil state and make it clear to the people.
Who is responsible
Yes.
about that?
Who is
Okay.
Now I think that's very important. The outcome, to wrap up the outcome of this important issue, that Sudan received very important and positive, conducive to development and stability and prosperity of the country. This is number one. But there are some
Challenges.
prerequisites from our side, from the internal, that we are all emphasize that
Challenges.
you have to prepare our home from inside. By what? First, by Dr. Asma said that we have one national army.
Armed force, yes,
Number
one.
two, the parties themselves, they have to prepare themselves for the democracy,
democracy, yeah.
acceptable by the international community. Without these two
Yes.
prerequisites,
Yes.
we are not going
Economy
to benefit.
should be liberal economy.
Liberal economy.
Yeah.
If without this, we will not benefit from what we got from the international community. Thank you, dear viewers, for being with us in the last 1 hour in this important episode. Hope to see you next week on another issue. Till that time, we hope to see you all well. Bye.